Now, carrying for these 3 years straight have given me a lot more insight into what to expect and a lot of the reasons why I got into getting my CCW. So in this video, this is the top 10 things that I wish I knew before I concealed carry. Stay tuned. So like always, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mick. So before we get into it, make sure to like the video, comment down below, and also be subscribed to the channel if you want to see this grow, which it has been. I gotta say thank you all growing this channel. It wouldn't be possible without you, the viewer. Let's get straight into this, but number one is clothing. I did not expect this one, but in the CCW class itself, it went over clothing, meaning concealment. So first off, let's define concealment in concealed carry, and that is to prevent the disclosure or recognition thereof. Remember, you are carrying a weapon, you are carrying a firearm, and you do not want to show a pattern on your clothing, meaning you got to be really conscientious about what you're wearing. You don't want to wear the tightest clothes because you don't want to show what you're carrying in concealment, and that's the whole idea here of concealed carry. Not only that, but I did find out something, that unintentional exposure is not a crime in California, which is a plus, but you got to be conscientious towards that. A lot of people really do push the idea that you want to wear nice fitting clothes, not tight. And this is really going to come down to the manner of carry that you are using. And this is number two here, the manner of concealed carry. And there are many ways to conceal carry. I have learned a lot going through the process here of the CCW, which I was surprised to learn. Now, I carry appendix. That is my number one thing. I've tried abdomen, I've tried fanny bag, I've tried outside inside waistband, and pretty much inside waistband appendix is my go-to. I've heard many more, carry vest, carry bra, thigh carry, strong side, even a handbag. So you're gonna really want to find a carry position that's going to be very comfortable for you, and for me, appendix carry is always the go-to. But like I said, try them out, because even my CCW permit test, I carried outside holster, and that is good for a range, but as you know, it is not good for concealed carry. Keep that in mind, and this goes into my next point here, is carrying with one in the chamber. And it's a crazy concept here. I personally carry one in the chamber. I always thought I would. When I was taking my CCW permit test and everything, I always thought that was the standard, but I have found out there are many people that do not carry with one in the chamber, and they are ready to rack when the time comes. Now, for a lot of people, they don't believe in the whole rack. Now, the rack is a certain sound that if you are used to handguns, firearms, even guns, rifles in general, when you hear a rack and you hear a round going into the chamber, it is something ingrained in everybody knows that sound if you are used to it. You can feel like a heightened sense into you. So I personally would never rack one into the chamber if time is of the essence and the situation is dire and you need your concealed carry weapon ready to go on the spot. Now, some people are different. Remember, some people are very nervous about carrying one in the chamber and having it with you all the time. This is where it's going to come down to you being comfortable. I always say this: be comfortable with your carry weapon, be comfortable with how you carry, be comfortable with one in the chamber. Now, number four is going to be where you can carry and where you cannot. Now, I did go over this in a video, but I'm going to briefly talk about this here, and I got a lot more insight, and it was crazy because just recent, a law change almost happened where sensitive areas were going to be a no carry zone, and the sensitive areas were so vast that concealed carry in California almost went to none. But as you know, public areas, public buildings, parks, a lot of public areas are concealed carry, yes. Just to briefly go over, I mean, government buildings are a no, courthouse, capitol, jails, and those are a few that you cannot. And I'm briefly going over this, so hopefully my video will be linked up here if you want to check that out. A lot of good information is in that video. I go completely into detail, and it's a lot of surprising information going over what location, where you can, where you cannot, because that is such an important thing to be on the right side of the law in this. If you are putting a lot of effort into getting your CCW, you want to stay on the right side of the law, and this is what I always say important. You can never learn enough law. You want to be on the right side, you want to be correct, and you never want to question something that is so important. Now, number 5 was drinking alcohol while concealed carrying. It's a no-no. Now, let's push aside the layman's terms. Now, licensees shall not consume an alcoholic beverage while concealed carrying. Now you have to stop and think about this for a moment, because a lot of people say, if I'm out to dinner and I have one drink, what is the harm? And if you have to use your carry weapon right after the fact, it is a bad situation to be in. Please stop and think for a moment. Always step away from the alcohol if you are carrying. Alcohol, as well as controlled substances, if you understand this, can twist your judgment, can make you more irritable. There are many factors that go alongside of it, but it's not a good situation to be in. And this is why protecting yourself is always the best policy. Remember, never put yourself in a compromising situation. This is why protection is super important. And let me go into a personal story here, but my parents dealt with fraud as well as identity theft. This is where it comes down to, it's crazy to know that our personal information is out there being bought and sold online. It can happen to anybody. I guarantee that if you Google search yourself right now, that you'd be horrified to know that anybody can have access to your personal information. This is your full name, past addresses, relatives' names. I mean, it is over and over again being bought and sold by these data brokers. This is why I love Aura, which is today's video sponsor. Aura constantly searches the web and contacts data brokers on your behalf to remove your personal information. This helps reduce the risk of spam, fraud, and identity theft significantly. I don't know if you saw this or heard about this, but AT&T, the big company, just revealed that over 72 million users, current and former, all their records were released on the dark web, including myself. And it's crazy because the only thing they can tell you to do is create better security passwords, monitor your account activity, consider credit freezes, or increase fraud alerts from credit bureaus. And this is where Aura does this all for you in one app. Now you have to understand that me being a current AT&T user, I was completely worried about my information over the dark web. I did not know personally if my information and records were released over that AT&T data breach, but now with Aura, I have no worry because they are protecting me. If you value your privacy the way I value mine, you can try it for yourself. Aura.com/freshman I teamed up with Aura to bring you a 2-week free trial. Go try it out. You will not regret it. Link will also be down below in the description. Do not miss out. Now remember, like I said, protection is super important, and one thing I really have to go over is number 6, carrying without your concealed carry permit or license. Now, I don't mean carrying without it completely. I mean carrying without the card. I never suspected that you could, but technically it turns out you can. But I will say you will have a heck of a time explaining and probably have some trouble for a couple hours explaining that you do have your CCW permit, but this is where it all comes down to. I had no idea that the paper itself that you retain from the actual CCW permit is pretty much your permit, and the card itself is just secondary. But I always carry it with me, and I do not carry one without it. And that's just a little information to go with number 6. Now, number 7, the types of holsters to carry your concealed weapon. Now, the crazy part is so many of these companies came out the woodwork, so many more CCW permits, so many more carry platforms started popping up. I've tried a lot. I've tried numerous companies. I don't want to name names, but pretty much the only one that I've been using heavily was We the People. Now, they make a pretty good one. It's lasted me for years. I just gotta say, I want to try more, but I haven't really got up to do it. I am carrying what I carry with, and it has worked for me. But again, like I always say, you got to personally try these out. You really do. You got to personally try them out. You have to see what you like, how you like the locking mechanisms, how you like the way they feel, how do you like the way that for you feel carrying can be comfortable. Now, number 8 is a crazy one, which I did not expect either, was ammunition choice. Now, when I first started carrying, I just used normal range ammunition. I never thought about spending a little bit more for quality, and that's what I ended up doing. Now, I use a lot of G1 and G2 spear ammunition. That is personally what I use. The reason why is because if anybody asks me, or if something ever happened, I'm not going to say I'm using zombie ammunition or some type of killing ammunition. This is the idea that I'm carrying with me, is I'm carrying what the law enforcement carries. And that is my point, and that's where it starts, and that's where it ends. Sweet and to the point. I carry what law enforcement carries. Boom. Now, number 9 was a big question, something that was part of the CCW class, because as I saw more people taking the class with me, I saw what they were carrying. And remember, this is all a learning experience, and this is what's really nice about going and meeting other people that are doing what you're doing, it's hard to be a lone wolf all the time. It really is. And sometimes it's really good to have that kind of camaraderie of other people doing what you're doing. And this is what I'm talking about here. Types of handguns, and mostly not the types, but the sizes itself. The big three are standard, compact, and subcompact. Now, am I talking about Glock standards as G34 competition style for carry? No. Okay, I'm not talking about that, but I am talking about a G17 for the standard. I'm talking about the G19 for the compact, and I'm talking about the G26 for the subcompact. That is very much an easy go of your choices in handguns and what you carry. It truly is, and I went full standard. I'm all pretty much full standard. The only thing that I do recommend is carry what feels comfortable. Like I said, carry what's not going to show on you, and make sure that you can carry it, meaning your body can hide it in a way that looks just natural, because for me, I've never had a problem. Number 10, and one that a lot of people are questioning me on my videos before, were driving with your CCW and not the permit, driving with your concealed carry weapon itself. People do have car safes, some people have car holsters. I personally will carry it on me, as well as carry in a gun magnet. Now, driving with your concealed carry weapon is very difficult, and this is where the whole idea of just keeping it on you. I mean, a lot of people do 3 o'clock position, strong arm position. I carry appendix, so sometimes I leave it there, and for me, it's comfortable enough because of the way I sit. This is where I get a lot of questions, because a lot of people who are pants, it is almost impossible. And this is where it really does come down to, like, number one, I was talking about clothing, and finding what works for you, finding what really does make it comfortable enough to carry concealed every day. And like I said, I'm going on my 3rd year right now. I still have 1 more year until I have to renew. But I gotta say thank you all for watching, because these were the top 10 big questions that, even for me, that I didn't realize until it was too late. It was just, like I said, once you get that CCW permit, there's a whole nother world and a whole nother stuff and a lot of other things that you're going to be learning. Even if you were a hardcore gun fanatic to begin with, the CCW puts you in a different realm sometimes. It really does. Because you're carrying it with you every day. It's something that becomes a part of you, to the point where when you leave the house and you don't have it on you, crazy enough, you feel naked. So like I said, you can never learn enough. A lot of information, a lot of law. Again, I gotta say thank you all for watching. This was Mick.